Our Europe editor, Armen Georgian, is in Strasbourg as well. He joins me now live from there. Armen, what else did Ursula von der Leyen have to say that struck you?
Well, she really was trying to take a bird's eye view of everything. She ended on those words, it's time to think big, it's time for Europe to answer the call of history. So she really addressed some of those big sort of overarching issues that go beyond Europe even, artificial intelligence, climate change, the environment globally. So a look at those kind of big issues, but in most of the speech I got the impression she was kind of weaving her way between points that would press the right buttons with the more right-wing political forces and pressing the buttons of the more left-wing or progressive, if you will, political groups. So in the former category, one thing that really struck me is when she said that it's time to make Europe work it's time to make business in Europe easier. So simplifying procedures for companies, especially small and medium-sized businesses, a kind of pro-business message there. Similarly, when she talked about the need for a dialogue with industry in the context of the green transition, I think that was definitely a nod to the more right-wing political forces in Europe who've been saying that the environmental legislation cannot come at too high a cost for businesses, because that would stifle growth and businesses would not be able to recruit more workers. So there were definitely points like that. In the other column, if you will, she talked a lot about, for example, protecting the natural habitats in Europe. There's quite a lot on social policy as well, talking about a new dialogue with social partners, and also talking about making Europe work for citizens, which I think there was a lot about the European election context, because we have this 2024 European election coming up next June, and very early on in her speech, within the first 20 seconds, she mentioned that the people who would be casting their vote, some of them will have been born in 2008, so the year of the financial crisis. So they've really lived through a period of huge kind of ructions and instability in Europe, of huge challenges relating to that financial crisis that has reverberated through the years. They've lived through the COVID pandemic. They've seen their life chances reduced because of the debt burden of that COVID response, and that essentially they will be thinking about things like climate change and artificial intelligence. So she was definitely trying to kind of play to those concerns that younger voters may have when they actually cast their votes next year.
So this was Ursula von der Leyen's last State of the Union for her first 5-year term in office. Would you say that this was a bit of a campaign speech for her as well?
I did get that impression, Jeannie, particularly in the last 20 minutes or so, especially when she talked about all the sort of, she listed the achievements of the EU in the last sort of 20 minutes, talking about, we did this on vaccines, we did this on natural gas, we did this on all the legislation. But although it was couched in terms of the EU's achievements, it felt to me as though she was kind of rattling off her own record as EU Commission President, and that suggests to me that this is a prelude for her to run for a top job. There's been a lot of speculation that she might want to stay on as President of the European Commission for another term after the European elections next year. She keeps kind of swatting away any questions from journalists about that. She's remained very tight-lipped on it, but she has certainly done nothing to shut down speculation that she wants the top job for another 5 years. But she's also been linked to perhaps the NATO Secretary General job after Jens Stoltenberg ends his mandate. So she, to me, did sound as though she was positioning herself for something.